Good morning, guys. How is everybody? Good, great, grand. Yes,
Pumped. We're pumped.
we're pumped. Okay. Perfect. So if you guys know me, I'm not big into rah-rah. I like to get kind of straight into business. So good morning. And before we get started, just a super quick intro. Just I'm sure because you're all here to talk to me, but I'm sure you guys all know who I am, but just a super quick background. Started in the industry in 2019. Had no idea where I was going, what I was doing, no mentorship. Life was a gigantic struggle and business was even worse. We were at the bottom of a recession in Calgary in 2019. Our average days on market was 3 years, if you could imagine. And I'm not exaggerating when I say 3 years. It was on, off market, on, off market, on, off market until it sold. So we were like, you could track it, but it was 2-3 years to sell a property. That first year I ended up doing 44 deals. Of those 44 deals, 38 were listings. So we're going to talk a lot about listings. Would anybody like more listings on the call? Yeah, okay. So that, sorry?
No, I said for sure.
Okay, perfect. Next year I went on to do 103 deals. The year after that I did 186. Sorry, 87. I keep getting corrected. 187 deals, and we don't do leases here. So those are proper transactions, buy and sell. So from 187 deals, went out to start a team. First year with the team was mostly my production that did it. I ended up in the top 50 in Canada. Second year with the team, now we're top 50. I think we're ranked top 50 globally, actually. So some pretty good track records. And I'm going to show you guys how powerful social media is. One of the biggest and hardest things for teams to do is attract agents, right? They've got usually teams that go out and attract agents for the team, 2, 3, 4 people, funnels, leads, all that kind of stuff. For us, we've never had to do any of that. We went from 5 agents in January. We just crossed 42 signed agents on the team. So that just goes to show how powerful social media is when you do it properly. It can replace an entire department. So same for you guys as agents, it can replace an entire marketing department if you do this properly. So that's a quick bio on me. Before we get started, does anybody got any hot, heated questions that they want to go over before we get started? Don't be shy. Just get into it. Okay, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to break down the fundamental of social media, the concept of it, and how you guys can make $1 million with never having to make another call, knock a door, do an open house ever again. Okay. So if you guys have been through my training before, I'm going to tie some of the strategies that we use in, but I'm going to just do it holistically this time instead of just just only the step-by-step. So first and foremost, we have to grow our following account. So does anybody have a goal of how many followers that they want to grow every month? Does anybody have a real goal? One hand up. What's the hands?
A million, Shawn.
100 followers.
100 followers a month. Okay, perfect. So when we're talking about anything that we want to do, we need to make sure that we have goals and then actionable steps that we can measure so we know if we're moving in the right direction or not, right? So in this case, same idea, we need to make sure that we have a goal. So 100 followers a month is perfect. That's exactly where I set mine. But imagine if you could have an extra 100 followers a month that were exactly like you, like the exact same things that you were into, and lived in the exact neighborhoods where you want to sell. Do you think that would help your business or hurt your business? Pretty big help, right? I think so. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So first and foremost, we have to understand social media, why people are on there. So this is a really big mistake I see a lot of agents make, almost all. So if you guys have been with me before, you've probably heard me ask this question, but like who here signed up for Facebook and Instagram to see a bunch of advertisements? Did anybody sign up to see a bunch of ads? Nobody?
No.
Okay. Does anybody's account look like a bunch of ads?
It used to.
Before we talked? Right?
Yeah.
So what happens is a lot of us are sitting there and putting out stuff that people aren't interested in, people don't vibe with. and we're going to lower and hurt our algorithm. But on top of lowering and hurting our algorithm, they're not going to know, like, and trust you because you're just putting out stuff that people don't care about. So we have to make sure first and foremost that we're a person on social media and we're giving stuff that people just want to vibe with. Okay. So now they've got that understand. We need to make sure that we're growing our account always with people who we want to do business with. So how we do that is we do this, it's called a social media blitz. So I'm going to go over this one more time for everybody. So has everybody heard this from me before, the social media blitz and how to do it? Spencer has, yeah. So we're going to go over one more time because it is literally just that important. So the first thing you want to do is make a post. The post should be value-based signaling posts. So this is something that I can't stress enough because we're always putting out posts, or a lot of people are putting out posts that makes no sense. So when I talk about value-based signaling post, what's happening in the market right now, and like you guys can shout an answer, but what's happening in your market right now that would really benefit first-time home buyers to know? So like what's something that first-time home buyers should really, really know in your market right now? What's about to change? What's about to happen?
Interest rates will come down and everyone's coming back.
Everyone's coming back, right?
Good answer, Jen. Good answer.
I knew I could
you.
do it. Right? So interest rates are about to come down. And how do we know that interest rates are about to come down?
The economy is
Because-
slowing down.
Economy is slowing down. So like, here's a good one. And like, I'm going to tie all this in for you guys, I promise. So how are variable rates controlled? What controls variable rates?
The Bank of Canada is signaling that they're going to be lowering rates in June or July. And
For
we know
sure.
historically, after a period of tightening, that they're going to reduce rates and then prices are going to go up. And then, as Jen said, the market will start to really heat up.
Yeah, so correct. But what single indicator does the
Bond
government?
market, bond market.
That's
Perfect.
for fixed
So-
rates, isn't it?
So for fixed interest rates, they use the bond yields, and for variable rates, they use inflation. So what happens is if you're paying attention to inflation and if you're paying attention to the bond rates, you can very confidently and comfortably predict exactly what's going to happen with the bonds or with the interest rates. Okay. So what happens is for first time, and I'm just using them as an example, but we're going to talk about sellers and everything. So if we know that the bond yields are going down, which means interest rates are going to go down. If we know inflation is going down. Sorry. So if we know that inflation is going down, we know that the interest rates are going to go down. They follow each other. So when interest rates go down, we know the market's going to explode. So when we're making a post, a lot of people want to talk to everybody at once all the time. You can't do that. You have to talk to one specific single segment of the market every single time. This is why realtors are not trusted, because we talk out of both sides of our mouth all the time. It's the best time to buy. It's the best time to sell. That is never the case. So for example, first-time home buyers, they should 100% be doing everything they physically and possibly can to get into the market yesterday. If somebody is selling their house and cashing out, is it a good time for them to sell? I would say hell no.
No.
Right? Heck no. Sorry, Jen. But it is definitely not a good time to sell because
Depends on what they're doing. Yeah, depends
oh, but
on
if they're,
what their
let's just say if they're
intention is,
selling
right?
and cashing out of the market, like let's just say I'm
Yes,
retiring, I
yes.
want my money, I'm leaving. Right? So same thing if somebody's downsizing. So if somebody's got a big house and they want to move into a small house, is it a good time for them to sell or should they wait for the market to spike a bit?
Market spike a bit, obviously.
100%.
Wait.
Right? So what happens though is when we're talking, a lot of times we just try to talk to everybody all at once. But when we're posting, and this is why we should be, and we are able to post every single day, because we're going to talk to one specific person from the market at a time. That's it. So you want to call that one specific person out. So let's say we want to talk about sellers. So are you thinking about selling your house and you're worried about getting top dollar and you want to sell in spring because that's usually what happens? Something you might want to consider. We're waiting for the interest rates to drop. When interest rates drop, it's going to flood the market with buyers and prices are very likely going to spike. So if you are selling and downsizing, this video is for you. Yada, 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 yada. Does that make sense? That way you're not talking out of both sides of your mouth. The only people who are going to tune and pay attention are that one single person who cares about that one single subject. So you can speak directly and frankly to them and then move on. Okay. So once you make the post, then you want to spend 1 hour doing something called a social media blitz. And this is something that you need to do and pay very, very, very close attention to. You can't be at the gym, don't be riding a bike, don't be going for a drive, don't be watching TV. This is dedicated prospecting time, like it would be sitting and dialing and calling leads. Like it's that specific. So you spend 15 minutes on 4 different segments, and we had to change one recently because Instagram changed. So if you guys write this stuff down, so spend 15 minutes on locations. So you do search, and then you go into the location where you want to work, which would be the community you want to work. So I'm just going to pick one, for example, let's call it Oakville, because I think most people are from Toronto here. So if we pick Oakville as a community, so you go search Oakville, everybody who's posting and being in Oakville is going to come up. You go to recents and you comment on every single post that you see come up, right? So every single post that comes up, you leave a thoughtful and engaging comment, you like it, you try to engage with the account. If it's something you really vibe with, go onto the page and go and interact with 4 or 5 more posts that they've done. Now, what's going to happen? What happens when somebody randomly that you don't know likes a bunch of your pictures or comments on a bunch of your posts? What do? What's the first thing you do?
You go to his page.
You go to their page. Who the heck is this, right? So you go to their page, and where's the first place you go? Stories or posts?
Stories
Stories.
typically.
Stories, I think.
Most times stories, right? Think about yourself. You want to see who this person is, right? Their story is typically exactly who they are and what they're doing. So you go to the story. So this is why we have to have the 5 emotional anchors on your story all the time. So 5 emotional anchors are food, fitness, inspiration, motivation, memes, pets, and kids. And I'm going to break those ones down for you in a little bit because I don't think we've ever actually gone into depth on those things. So what happens is if you think about your own account and when you're scrolling mindlessly on Instagram and TikTok and everything, and you come across a cute little puppy, do you normally interact with that? Right? If you come across a meal that looks super awesome, do you interact with that? If it's a meme that's engaging, is that something that you'd like or interact with? Or if it's a family member or a kid or something, is that something you interact with? So the more things that people are going to emotionally attach to or anchor with, the better, because that's who you are as a person. You want to interact with people who are just like you. You mix in other stuff that you're into as well, right? So like if you're into bobsledding, snowmobiles, kite surfing, ballroom dancing, whatever it is, mix in as much of that as you possibly can as well, because as people are into that, those who are really going to vibe with you. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to go down and check your posts. Who is this person? If it's a bunch of useless content, then they're probably not going to follow you. But if you can hit them with some very value-based information on something that they're interested in the first couple 3 posts, they're going to be like, wow, I actually need to know this person. They're going to give you a follow, then you give them a follow back. You've now just gained a follower in the exact community that you want to work with, and they already vibe with who you are as a person. So as you continue to post this stuff over time, you're going to go from the person that they might have top of mind to the person they have as top of preference. Does that make sense? Right? And I'll tell you how strong this is. So I just recently had a deal that came up maybe a month-ish ago. So like I'm not even really posting real estate content anymore. And this is like, I want to get you guys to the stage. Customer was messaging me and he's like, hey, Shawn, I want to sell my condo. I get super busy, so I miss messages all the time. I missed that one. Message me again. Hey, Shawn, I'm thinking about selling my condo right away. Can you message me back so I can get a price? Missed that one too. Hey, Shawn, I actually need to sell my condo this month. Can you please message me back so I can get a price? Missed that one too. 3 in a row, missed. Probably lost that client, right? He then messages me, 4th one. Hey, Shawn, I just had a realtor come by and price up my house. You know, I saw that one, heart was broken. I'm like, oh, I screwed that up bad. He goes, he told me exactly what I need to sell it for. Can you please come sell it? Imagine that. He brought in another realtor because he couldn't get a hold of me to give him a CMA and a pricing evaluation. He got his price and he still messaged me to put the thing up for sale. And we did. We put it up and we sold it maybe a couple of weeks ago. That is top of preference, where there's nobody else that they could possibly work with but you. So how do you get to that stage? You have to make sure that they just don't know, like, and trust you. They know, love, and trust you. And that's why you have to put out the 5 emotional anchors all the time, because that's what's going to tie people to you. And then every post you put is it value for my audience? Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so we're gonna spend 15 minutes on locations. So that's gonna be in communities where you want to work. So again, we call it Oakville. We used to spend 50 minutes on hashtags, but they no longer geolocate, so that doesn't work. So now we're gonna spend 15 minutes on stores and businesses that are in the communities we want to work. Right? So like, do we got any dog lovers on the call here? Right? Any cat lovers? Animal lovers? A lot of us? Okay, perfect. So now imagine if you went to the local pet store and the local vets and anything, the local dog parks and all that kind of stuff. And anybody that's following those accounts, you go into their followers. So people that are following the local vet, people that are following the local dog store, and you start commenting and interacting with every single one of those followers. Do you think they follow that because they don't live in that part of town? Right? So for sure they live in that neighborhood and they're into the same thing that you're into. So they're going to see you posting about your pup. It's going to be an instant interaction, instant credibility, and they're going to go through your post. They're going to love it. And when they love that, then they're going to follow you. You're going to follow them back. And now you've got an instant raving fan. Does that make sense? So imagine you did with everything that you're into in the communities that you want to work in, right? Pets is just an easy one. It's like low-hanging fruit I can give you guys examples of. But like you can even do things like ice cream. Like if ice cream's your thing and you go for, Wednesdays and Friday ice cream walks with your partner or yourself or whatever, anybody that follows that ice cream store is somebody that you should be interacting with, right? Okay, so we spent 15 minutes on locations, and then we spend 50 minutes on businesses inside where you are researching for locations. So like if you just go to Instagram, there's a magnifying glass that says search, that's where you're going. Okay, then we're going to spend 15 minutes on stories. Okay, so this is super, super, super important. So stories are the little circles up at the top. You scroll all the way to the back, so you can't scroll no more. You can scroll all the way to the back, and those are the people that have fallen off your algorithm. You're no longer seeing them, so they're probably no longer seeing you. You've fallen off each other's algorithms. So you spend 15 minutes commenting on every single story that you come across, and then they're going to respond back to you in the DMs. There's a conversation that's going. Instagram is going to be like, oh, these people are friends. Let me push them high on each other's algorithm. Now they're going to start seeing everything that you post. So now you've gotten somebody who is a dead account into a live account. That's simple. Then the next thing you do is the posts from the top down. So every post that you come across, the first ones you see are the people who are your biggest fans and the people that you interact with the most. So you don't want to lose those people, but you also want to make sure that you're rewarding those people for being high on your algorithm. So leave a thoughtful comment on every single one of the posts, 100% of them. Like don't miss any. Don't just scroll, don't just like, leave comments. Has anybody ever posted something and hoped that nobody saw it and nobody commented on it? We've never done that. If you've got somebody who's always commenting and always liking your stuff, how do you normally feel about that person? You normally got, positive feedback and positive kind of intentions with that person, right? So imagine if you were that person for 100 to 150 people every single day. You're like, oh, wow. Shawn's always leaving me nice, thoughtful things. Man, Shawn always comments on every single one of them. Like, I like that guy. So what happens is, again, they're just going to feel good about you. And when it comes time to do business, they're going to either use you or refer you. Pretty simple stuff, right? So, and here's another way that we tie social media into getting 1% better every single day. This is something we push hard on my team. And the people that do this do really, really well. The people that don't, you see them struggle for a little bit of time. Location searching means to put a location with a post. No. I mean, like open your Instagram and on the very bottom, there's a little magnifying glass. Touch that magnifying glass. Then there'll be a search bar that comes up. Type in a location where you want to work. And then that will come up with all the location, all of the posts that are coming up in that location. Okay. So this is something that, again, like I push really, really, really hard. And like, I understand why people don't do it, but I don't understand why they can't, the ones that don't. So we write a blog about everything, about every single thing. I was actually just interviewing an agent yesterday that's coming from like one of the biggest teams in our city. And I asked them, what's your training look like? Like, what kind of education do they provide on that team? And they said, oh, it's mostly about home issues and home construction. I'm like, okay, well, can you tell me a little bit more about that, right? I'm trying to learn. And she goes, yeah, like they teach us about, furnaces and roofs and water tanks and everything like that. I'm like, okay, cool. Because you do need to know that stuff. I'm like, can you tell me about furnaces? And she's like, I have no idea. She goes, they just come and talk and I just doodle and I don't pay attention. I'm like, okay, fair. Do you think furnaces would be something really important to know on a showing so that you can show buyers that you know what you're talking about and increase their trust level in you? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so you should probably know about furnaces, right? So we do the same thing, but in reverse. So anytime that we want to learn something or communicate anything out to our audience, I really, really push that everybody writes a blog on it. Because if you write a blog, you actually have to take the time and do some research. You actually have to educate yourself. And because it's you physically putting your pen on a piece of paper, I prefer that, but if you want to do type, that's fine. Then you will actually remember the information that you're communicating. It's that much more powerful. So if you're making a post about interest rates, write a blog on it first. Where do you post your blogs? So you could just post them on your website if you want, right? Like everybody's got a KV Core website here, or you've got a team website here. There'll be a blog portion on, I've never seen a website without a blog spot. So you just put them there. And if you don't want to post them, you don't have to, like you can just keep them in Word. But the other major benefit of this is when you guys are working with cold clients, what do you think the first thing they're going to do is when they're trying to find out who you are? Probably Google you, right? If they Google you, they're probably going to land on your website. If they land on your website and you've got 400 blogs written, are they probably going to think you're an authority in the market and you're an authority in the industry? Is that not a just super easy win? Educating yourself, being 1% better every day, and giving your clients that don't even know you instant trust, right? So that's why I really recommend you post blogs. So you write the blog and post about it. So once you've done that, then when you go to make your post, don't write a script, right? Like I can't get over this enough either, because how you communicate that post is exactly how you're going to communicate it when you're out in the real world. If you can't have a normal conversation just talking about something, you don't know it deep enough. And your Google business page. Yeah. Is Google business pages even a thing anymore? I thought they got deleted like a year ago. Maybe they're still there. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So the blog is super, super important so you can actually understand it. And then when you're making your post, you should be able to just talk and have a normal conversation. If you're struggling to make posts and you're just, the camera is really making you shy, I really recommend you partner up with somebody. So like in your team, in your downline, in your area, whatever, and just do a post together, having a conversation. That's the easiest way to get started. So it's just you and another person, and you're just sitting beside each other talking, and it looks scripted, it looks fake, and whatever, but it will just get you used to talking about the subjects on camera, and then you could slowly move into solo. Another thing I recommend when you're making posts is like we got a recording studio here with the background and like the cameras and stuff. I don't recommend you do that at all. So this is for YouTube, but when you're making your posts out of a studio like this, again, nobody tuned into Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok because they wanted to see a bunch of ads. As soon as it looks too professional, it really looks like you're marketing to somebody. Where when you're just talking off the cuff, you're walking your dog, you're at a park, you're sitting in your car. Like if you look at my page, I built $1 million business sitting in my car talking from my front seat, just with my phone flipped around to me. Right? I don't even edit anything. Yeah, raw and authentic. Right? Like I don't, like there's no edit, there's no face filter, nothing. So like you even hear me sometimes stutter and stumble and I just keep going. Right? Because like the people just want to know that you are communicating that information to them as if they were just sitting there as a friend. Because that's what they're on social media for. And that takes out so much pressure and so much time where you're like, I got to get a camera and sit in front of a computer and have all this stuff, right? The agents in my group that are doing the best through social media are the ones that abandoned this recording studio, which they have for free, that abandoned it and just started making posts at velocity and volume. So does anybody here think that they can make a post today, or they're going to struggle with a post today?
Struggle.
Struggle, right? So yeah. So if you're struggling to make a post today, what I'll do is I'm going to send Jen Jones my 30-day content calendar that we give to all of our new agents. Actually, Jen, you have it in Alpha Agents in there, but I'll highlight it for you. So if you guys go into, I think everybody here has access actually to Alpha Agents. So if you guys go in there, there's a 30-day content calendar. If you make those posts every single day for 30 days, I promise you, you will start getting a bunch of comments, especially on TikTok. Those comments are your next post. Anybody with a comment or a question is literally your next post. Another one is, like, does anybody here not have buyers? Like, hands way up if you have no buyers. Oh, you actually, I wasn't expecting anybody's hand to come up. So Heather, we got to get you some buyers. Do you guys not have conversations every single day with your buyers? That's your post. Every single conversation that you have means that somebody has a question and they don't understand something, and they're not the only person. I guarantee you 50, 60, 70, 80% of your audience has the same question and the same problem. Same when you're talking with your sellers. Anytime that you give them advice or you help them negotiate or something comes up and you overcome an objection or something, I guarantee you most of your audience has the exact same one, right? So the more that you have conversations with buyers and sellers, just remember the conversation or do a quick note. And as soon as you're done, go sit in your car, make your post. Like, as soon as you've had the conversation, just sit down and make your post. Does that make sense for everybody? So imagine if you did this, even let's say we don't do it every day of the week, but let's say we do it 3 times a week. So that's 150 posts in a year. That's very, very manageable. Imagine if you took a subject, you learned about it, you wrote a blog about it, and you made a post about it and did a blitz to gain new followers. Imagine you did that 3 times a week. How much more educated would you be in this business? Massively. How many more followers would you have that are just like you, that are interested in exactly the things that you want to do? The posting hours, I'll get to that. Sorry, how many more followers do you have that are exactly like you that only want to do business with you, right? Here's how you have to never knock a door, never do an open house, never do anything again, because you're communicating to your audience on a constant basis and you're constantly growing it. So that's what's super, super important with that one, the social media blitz. Does that help everybody? You got that down? Okay.
How long should these be?
Yeah, good question. So I would just say as long as they need to be, right? I try to keep all of mine 60 seconds or less. I think for the majority of times you can communicate it within a minute. If it needs to go longer, I like to do 1-minute segments and then have the carousel where it's like 3 or 4 scrolls that they have to do. Because if somebody tunes in and they see a 4-minute, 5-minute, 6-minute video, they're unlikely watching the first 2 seconds, right? People aren't on social media for that. So if you keep them to 60 seconds, 45 seconds, but you might have 3 or 4 scrolls of them, you might catch them enough on the first one to have them scroll through all of them. Another one is for posting hours, right? So this is one of the things that the gurus always talk about, like, oh, take a look when most of your audience is online and that's when you want to post. I mean, sure, if you have a big viral account, but if you're like most of us and you're just kind of grinding in the corners, you post when you have an hour to blitz immediately after. So for me, that's usually the morning. You'll see my post come up at like 6 or 7 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's usually when I've just left the gym and I've got a little bit of time before I come to the office, because you put your post up, you do the blitz, and you're going to get a bunch of attention to your account. And then that attention to your account will boost the algorithm anyways. It'll boost it way more than posting at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. We have one girl that just joined us. I don't even think she's a month with us yet. She's religiously doing this. So her account's growing quite a bit. She used to get 1,500 to 2,000 views per post. She's about 9,000 to 10,000 views per post now, which is crazy. And from that, I think 70 to 80% are non-followers. Think about how powerful that is. If 60 to 70% of your posts were non-followers, those people are going to follow you and your account is going to grow at an incredible rate. Again, with people that like you, know you, trust you, and want to do business with you.
Hey, Shawn, who was that person again?
Sorry? You sound really far.
Oh, who was that person again?
who've on my team.
That you were talking about.
Her name is Emily. You want
Okay.
her? Yeah, I can give you her account. It is.
And when you say post, are you referring to any kind of stories or are you referring to free feed post?
So stories have to be up all the time, no matter what. And stories need to be food, fitness, inspiration, motivation, memes, pets, and kids. So those at the bare minimum have to be on your story. And I'll give you guys a couple examples of how I've done some wild deals off of that stuff. Your posts are value-based signaling posts. So they need to be something that somebody could actually do something with. I found like a lot of realtors when social media was getting pushed a lot, they were putting up stuff that just really wasn't that helpful, right? Like how deposits work and how inspections work and how walkthroughs work and all that kind of stuff. And sure, that stuff is important, but all of a sudden you just seen that was the only thing that these accounts were putting up. And it's like, people don't care about this unless they're at that part of the deal. Just assume that you know how to do it and you're going to take care of it. That's why they hired you, right? So when we're talking about a signaling post, it's, I just had a buyer, like this is a really good one, right? I just had a buyer and they didn't want to put in an offer at a bidding war because they didn't want to overpay, blah, blah, blah. And here's what I told them and here's why they won the bidding war. And it's why now they're loving their new house, right? So that was like signaling to the market which way that somebody should go or do something. Does that make sense? Right? Because again, like if you go to your page and you look at it and it's full of just kind of useful trinket posts, why would somebody follow that and why would they interact with you over somebody that they actually know and actually vibe with, right? So if you want that person's account, it's EMASCUI 95, EMASCUI 95. And yeah, consistently posting. And every time she posts, she makes sure she blitzes after. And again, it's somebody that I have to like every 4 or 5 days. I'm like, hey, I never saw a post from you. Put another one up, and she puts another one up and gets a great result. And I'm like, keep doing it. So yeah. Do I have any posts for LinkedIn? Yes, I don't use LinkedIn. That's my tip. So LinkedIn has become a cesspool of absolute trash, in my opinion. Every time I log in there, there's 1,000 people hitting me up trying to sell me something or connect me. It's just become complete spam. I know Gary Vee pushes it quite a bit, and he's talking about it's the most underused and overreached platform, but it's because nobody uses it because nobody fucking likes it. So that's my opinion on LinkedIn. Do you use title pages or call outs on blogs regarding the topic of the post? Of course, yeah. You always want to call out what you're talking about at the beginning, even in the blogs. And like a really good thing too with the blogs is you could put them on your story. So you could do like a screenshot of it. And then you could put your little head in the corner talking. And then you could put a link to the blog. And you'd be amazed how many people will actually go and read it, right? Like we have some of our guys that are getting like 300-400 reads on a blog. Think about how powerful that is, right? Okay, so that's a huge one with social media. Another big one that we talk about quite a bit as well is people don't want to get, and again, like I'm just going to use politics as an example, but they don't want to get political or they don't want to dive into their opinion on stuff because they think that they're going to segregate half of their audience or a percentage of their audience because they have an opinion. My experience has been the exact opposite of that. I think that you guys should dive into exactly who you are, what you think, and who you vibe with, whatever that might be. And the more you do that, the more you'll find that people resonate with you. And again, like don't be offensive or stupid or rude, right? Unless it's to Trudeau. But you want to make sure you're putting out your values and who you are. Because what happens is there's a lot of other people that are just like that. And those, instead of having some of this side and some of that side, you'll have 100% of this side. And those are the people who are already like you and who already think like you. So when you go out on showings or when you go to do a listing presentation, you're going with somebody who's super into the things you're into, and it just makes it that much simpler and easier. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah, Shawn, I love that you just mentioned that because people have said talk about something controversial. I had posted on an Instagram account just talking about federal deficits and how complicated they are. I had 21,000 plays, 453 likes, and I had 39 comments. So it was like unbelievable.
Yeah, huge, 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 huge. And what do you think that did for your account and your authority and presence online?
Yeah, I think I got like another 25 followers, and yeah, it boosted the algorithm tremendously.
Yeah, that's super huge. Super, super, super good. Another thing actually just talking about, and good job. Another thing talking about the algorithms. What's super important is to pay attention to them. Not that we care like our feelings are getting hurt, but we have to understand if our account is moving the right direction or not, and to take advantage of viral posts. So for example, whatever it is that your intention is with your business, if you've just had a viral post, so like that would be what we can consider viral, immediately make a post that is going to be the most impactful to your business. So if you're looking for sellers, for example, if you just had a post that got 5, 6, 7, 8 times what it normally gets on your page, immediately, like as soon as you notice it, which I'm hoping is within a few hours to like a day at the most, be like, okay, my account has heat right now. Let me throw up something that I can win from. So like, hey, are you thinking of selling your house and waiting for the spring market? Or hey, here's how you maximize your profits on a listing, or here's 3 tips for sellers that not a lot of people know about, or like whatever. But what happens is because your account is active at the moment, you're going to get more eyes, and you want more eyes of the thing that you want the most. So every time you got a viral post, make sure that you follow it up. And that's probably going to tank your algorithm, right? The next post. But the whole reason why you popped it up was to get more business. Does that make sense? So you want business of what's most important to you at that time. So that's a big one. Another huge one is followers. So who you are following matters, right? So I talk about this all the time. In Debt on Purpose is our IG account. Oh, another big thing is who you're following, because a lot of people you can use Instagram and social media as a tool, or you can use it as a toy. So if you're using it as a toy, that means it's distracting and it's wasting time or spending time throughout your day, and it's giving you no advantage to your business. So if you're following somebody that cannot do a transaction with you and cannot send you a referral, you are treating your Instagram like a toy. Right? So one thing I noticed is like I woke up in the morning one day and I was just scrolling, and I put out a quick little blog, and I wanted to do a post on it, or like not a blog, but like a blog style post. So a picture with a caption. And I was doing a blitz, and I noticed I was scrolling for like 20 minutes and there wasn't a single account that I could interact with. There's like a bunch of celebrities and meme pages and all that stuff. And I'm like, man, I just burned 20 minutes and I didn't do a single thing positive for my business at all. So as you're going through your account, start paying attention to who's coming up on your feed, because it's the biggest accounts that are going to come up on your feed first. If you've got someone that's got, 1 million or 10 million followers, they're always going to be the first one that's pushed out to you, because that's how the algorithms work. You need to start unfollowing those people if you want your account to be a tool, not a toy. Does anybody ever fall victim to that? You scroll for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and there's not a single page that you can do business with as you're scrolling, right? So that's a toy. Okay. Another huge one is Facebook Marketplace, if we're talking on social media. So we actually just did an audit of our deals last month. So our team did 42 deals last month. So super happy with that. So 42 deals. We had just under 30 agents at the time. So 42 deals. Of that, 4 came from our lead gen, which we're spending tens of thousands a month on, which is crazy. So 4 deals came from lead gen. 20 deals came from Facebook Marketplace. 20. Half of our business came from Facebook Marketplace, which is free. That's nuts. Has anybody heard the Facebook Marketplace strategy from us? Going through it? Yeah?
Please.
No, haven't heard it.
No?
Nope.
Okay, I'll do it super quick for you guys, so I'm not duplicating it. Is anybody posting on Facebook Marketplace on a regular basis? 1, 2. Nope.
Sometimes.
People do sell their old furniture there, and we sell houses there. So Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so the whole thing with Facebook Marketplace is it's free. It takes like 10, 15 minutes and it's people that are ready and willing to go instantly right now. So all you do, super, super simple, especially if you're on a big team, you should have a lot of listings. So you have permission to post everybody's listings, I assume, on a team. If not, in most markets, you need permission from the listing agent. We've got our hands slapped on this one a few times. So please make sure you get permission from the listing agents. And super, 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 super simple. And I recommend you do this from your phone, right? So a lot of people try to work from their computer. You need to get used to working from your phone so that you can do stuff on the go, right? Like I was forced to write 2 deals yesterday because I couldn't hand off customers. They refused to get passed off. I just pulled over and did both deals from my phone. It took 2 minutes. I haven't even opened my laptop in I don't know how long, right? So anyways, when you're doing marketplace, get permission and then you just take screenshots of the pictures. I recommend 10 pictures at the most, never more than 10. You want them to have a reason to get a hold of you or to get more information from you. So 10 pictures. If it's your listing, you could put the address. If it's not your listing, try to put just the community or at the most the street. Because if you give them the address, then they could just click it and get it themselves, right? If it's your listing, it's fine because they're going to go to you anyways. If it's not your listing, you want the attention to you. So 10 pictures or less. And I hate that I have to say this. Make it the 10 best pictures, please, not the first 10 pictures. So go through, take the kitchen, take the living room if it's got a vaulted ceiling, take the ensuite if it's renovated, take the backyard if it's got a view or it's nicely done, but the 10 best pictures. Post that on, so you go Facebook Marketplace, post. It's going to say item for sale or house for sale. Put house for sale. And then you literally just fill out what it says. So put the pictures, the price, try to put just the street or the location, the community. Then you could, the description, you just copy and paste the description from the MLS. Read the description because a lot of people use ChatGPT for descriptions. And I think that's one of the worst things you could possibly do because it's just googly gunk that's on there. So if the description is no good, take the 5 minutes and write your own property description that makes sense, right? Like I had one that I came across where it was like, as you enter this majestic home with soaring ceilings and a gourmet kitchen and like all the buzzwords, right? It was like a $450,000 house that was like damn near a teardown. I'm like, how does this description matter? Like they didn't even try to put the right stuff, but that's the pain with ChatGPT these days. So description, price, all that kind of stuff. And then you guys should go to your websites and find the property and get the link to your to the property from your website. And you put that as part of the description. So if they want more information, super easy for them just to click it. And then obviously you capture all their information that way. And then you post it and you just do one a day, 10, 15 minutes. That's it. Super, super, super simple. And then, so when you go to post it, you have to join a bunch of community groups. And this, I'm going to say this 3 times because people never get it. When I say community groups, I don't mean real estate groups. I don't mean houses for sale groups. I don't mean coming soon groups for real estate. I mean community pages that have absolutely nothing to do with real estate. 0. So you want to be in the community page and in the buy and sell pages. So for example, if it's Oakville, it would be like Oakville garage sale, Oakville yard sale, Oakville buy and sell, Oakville for free, Oakville information, welcome to Oakville or whatever, right? So all of that, of as many communities as you can get into, because you are going to get kicked out of a bunch of pages. It's going to happen. So you need to be in a bunch. So when you go to post it, you go post a marketplace and it says, would you like to post in any other markets? You say yes. And then you can click 20 more pages to post into. So put it into those groups. Now, what's going to happen? Sometimes you're going to get a lot of love and comments, which is great. Sometimes you are going to get a ton of hate, like a lot of hate, especially if it's a house that seems overpriced or a house that just seems expensive in general. So what happens, that hate is exactly what you want because all of those marketplaces, they have their own algorithms, right? So if all of a sudden you get a bunch of comments in there, you're going to see some get like 10, 50 views. Some get 6,000 views inside the marketplace, and those are the ones that get a bunch of comments in there. So you have to make sure you turn your notifications on. I have up to 20,000 views on Facebook Market compared to, there you go, right? And this is something, if you read that comment from Mary, I'm up to 20,000 views on Facebook Marketplace compared to 2,000 views on MLS. Imagine if you go to a seller and you're like, yeah, we put on MLS and we get those hyper local attracted views of people who put in exactly this in their search criteria. And you don't tell them what you're doing, but you go, we have a very aggressive social media strategy where we get into a bunch of different marketplaces. And our goal is to target neighborhoods that are a little bit more expensive than this one, that might be 1 or 2 communities closer to downtown in proximity, but is not that far of a drive. And we want their attention because they're used to seeing $2 million for a house of this caliber, and you're going to give them one for 1.5 million. They're going to be like, oh, wow, that's a smoking deal. I wasn't even looking in that area. I'll drive 5 more minutes for that house. And then it happens all the time. I'll give you a couple examples once I get through this. So, yeah, post in the 20 marketplaces. And then when you get a bunch of comments and a bunch of hate on there, that's exactly what you want. So please welcome the hate. You want it. Now, how you respond to the hate is going to be a big difference on how your business looks through marketplace. So you always have to be able to defend yourself, and you always defend yourself with the you're okay, I'm okay strategy. So you're okay is, I totally understand why you think that. I hate that house prices are this expensive too. I agree this is a complete dumpster fire, like you said, in a hot garbage house, whatever. Agree 100%. However, when I run the comps on this, the average sale in the community is this. We see other houses selling for that and whatever. And this is just the market in the world that we live in. And people will likely pay this much for the house, or whatever it is the objection is, or whatever it is the hate comment is. What happens is people are watching how you respond. And those people that are watching how you respond will either like you or think you're an ignorant asshole realtor. A jerk realtor. So what happens is when they're seeing that and they see it 2, 3, 4 times in a row, because you're posting in the same groups all the time, you're going to get a random DM. Hey, I really like how you handle yourself. I really like how you respond to people that hate you. My auntie has a house for sale. She's interviewing realtors right now. Do you have time to go see her? It's literally going to be like that. Like they're almost an inconvenience for you because you're so popular and you're so good. It's like, do you have time for this? Can you make time for us to come sell our house? Yeah, I could probably find the time, try my best, right? So you want that hate to come, and you want to make sure that you answer it immediately, very, very, very fast. Because one thing that we know about hate is hate breeds hate. So if one comment comes up and you don't respond, a second comment will come up and you don't respond, and 50 comments will now come up. And now it's too late. You can't get that back. So make sure that your notifications are on, and like you have to be quick, because I promise you, if one shows up, it's like insects. It's just all of a sudden you get swarmed. So you have to make sure you address it right away. So really, really good example. We're just currently closing this deal for IGN, Facebook post, blogs. Best to use personal account, team account. Okay, good question. I'll answer that in a second. So we recently just had a condo that we put up for sale, and we ran the comps on it. We're super confident in our price. And this particular person was super, 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 super picky on what they wanted. They had like 3 streets that they wanted to live on. So every time one of these houses came up on these 3 streets, we had to go and try to buy it, but it's very, very popular. So bidding wars and all this kind of stuff. So it was more important to lock in the purchase before we put the condo for sale, right? Because if we sell the condo and one house doesn't come up for sale, this person's homeless because they only want to live in this very small area. So we put the house under contract. We got one, which is great. So we put those under contract, and we had a strategy to sell the apartment where we were going to underlist the apartment on purpose, draw up a bunch of attention, bidding war, unconditional offer, and move on. Well, we never got the unconditional offer, and the offer we got died. Then we needed another offer. That one died. Then we were getting stressed and we needed another offer. That one died. So now we're mega panic mode, mega panic mode, because we're like, we could screw this person horribly if we can't get this done. So our agent the entire time had put the property on Facebook Marketplace. She showed the property herself 7 times from Marketplace. After that third deal collapsed, one of those 7 people we were able to put under contract. We double-ended the deal and got the deal done. They came from Facebook Marketplace and we double-ended the deal. If we hadn't done Marketplace, that person probably would have never showed up because they wouldn't have been looking in that particular area. And we would have tanked that deal and we would have caused a lot of harm to our client, right? Because we went the risky route. Does that make sense? So imagine that. Free marketing that cost us absolutely nothing, allowed us to double-end a deal, and we have 6 other clients that we showed the property to that they didn't want, but they clearly want something. So if we're able to show and convey enough value when we're out on that showing and that we got their back, then we got those clients. There's 6 free buyers that are ready and hot to go. And guess how much follow-up we had to do? None. They don't even go in the CRM because they just want to buy right there. They just stay in the DMs. And you take them from DMs to showings and from showings to offers. Is that not like a million times easier? Right? So the thing with Marketplace is you don't know when it's finally going to take off for you. So you might go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months with absolutely nothing. It happens all the time. It just, like I talk about this a lot with all my people, you have to separate the work from the reward. If you know the work will eventually lead to the reward, you have to separate the reward and just understand that the reward is the work. Right? So with Facebook Marketplace, the reward is putting up the post. You will get deals eventually, I promise you. But again, some people, they put it up and within a week, they're doing deals. It's crazy. Some people, it's 4, 5, 6 months with nothing. And then all of a sudden it pops like crazy. So again, it's just something you have to do again and again and again and again. That makes sense? Okay. Why invest so much money to lead gen if Marketplace is generating more business for you? Because I run a team and that's the expectation. I've tried it with no lead gen before and smashed into walls. So yeah. And not only that, I'm still new to lead gen realistically, because I built my whole business without it. There's teams that they do amazing job with lead gen, and like Jen, for example, who I'm like pestering all the time to learn. But when they figured out and the ISAs are warming stuff up better and the handoffs are smoother, they're doing more business. Like Jen, for example, is one. Justin Haver, I know 92% of his sales, he does 2,000 deals a year. 92% come from lead gen, so it works. But for us, we're keeping up with all the big teams, and the majority of our business is coming from organic. So from this stuff. But great question. So for IG, Facebook post, blogs, so is it best to use a personal account, team account, or combination of both? Love this question. You need to delete your business accounts completely. Get rid of them. I can't stress it enough. Nobody signed up for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything except for LinkedIn, where nobody goes. It's where your business goes to die. Nobody signed up for any of these platforms to be harassed by somebody's business of any form. They only want you as a person. And the problem is you're following your friends, your family, your coworkers, and anybody that knows, likes you, and loves you. They don't want to be on your business page. They're already on your personal page, and that's what they're there for. So why would you force them to follow another page that is all BS that they don't care and don't want? Give them your personal stuff. Does that make sense? So yeah, those business pages. And the other problem too, I find with like, this is just prospecting in general. So many people, they do the wrong thing and it takes up their time, energy, and bandwidth. But the worst part is because they think that they did something, it stops them from doing the thing they're supposed to do. Do you know what I mean? So they'll post on a business page. So they'll post on a business page and be like, okay, cool. I did my business page post. I don't got to worry about my personal because I did a post. It's like, no, all of your followers live on that page, right? That's the one you need to pay attention to. But because in your mind you did something, you're like, well, I don't have to do the other thing now. Does that make sense? So yeah, highly recommend you go to your business page, which is which is probably dead. Community Facebook pages instead of built. Yeah, that's different. So if you're gonna set up a community page on Facebook and spend the time to build that, that's huge moneymaker. But that's a big commitment on that one. But yeah, go to your business page, make a few posts, make a few stories that you're shutting this down and to go follow you on your personal page. And then because you probably don't have a ton of followers on there, I would go through every single one and just send a DM with the link to your personal page and then shut the account down. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, posting in your business page and then putting it over to your personal. Like, what's the point, right? So yeah, I've had so many conversations and arguments with so many people on this, and every single person that's listened and put in the work has done well. Every single person that hasn't, I'll check back on their account like 3 months, 6 months later, it's still dead doing nothing. I'm like, it's not like it's my first time checking this out. I don't know why people don't listen at this point. So yeah, that's kind of like the biggest things with social media is to understand that you need your 5 emotional anchors at least on your stories. Thanks, Rod. So your 5 emotional anchors on your story, plus your more personality. Your posts should be signaling value-based posts to specific segments of the market. Can't stress that enough. Only talk out of one side of your mouth. So many people, again, it's the best time to buy. It's the best time to sell. I now don't trust you. Like instantly. I can't. How can I? You just lied to me. To my face on video. Right? So just pick one and then be honest with it, right? Like I was just at a listing presentation yesterday. I got an amazing message this morning from it. A guy that I know, his dad wants to sell his house. He'd had 3 realtors interview before, so we were in as the 4th. And all 3 realtors told him 1.1 to 1.2 million for his property based on this one comp that didn't make sense to me. So I went in there and I'm like, hey man, I don't mean to break your heart, but your place is worth like 700 at the most. Imagine coming in at half of what everybody else is saying. 3 other realtors told him 1 million plus with the strategy of listing at 999 and getting a bidding war of 1.2 or 1.4 was what got to him. And I'm like, if you get $700,000, take it and run because that's like the most you're going to see. And then so I started breaking it down for him. And I saw that one comp and I know the realtor that sold it on the buy side. I'm like, watch, I'm going to call this guy right now and you're going to be amazed at what he says. So call him, put him on speakerphone. And I'm like, hey buddy, I just saw you bought this property. I'm just wondering what's going on. Cause like, you're a super smart dude. And like, I can't figure this out. And like on speakerphone in front of his customers, he's like, I told my client not to buy that. And I told him he's overpaying. And I made him even sign a letter saying that he's overpaying by $300,000 and blah, blah, blah. But what happened is it was an infill and it was the corner lot and the guy owned the other 2. So for him, it was worth that because he's going to knock them all down and build an apartment building, right? So that one's okay for that one specific person. And he wanted to put an offer in so strong that nobody could compete with it. That screwed up the comps in the community though. And these other realtors were using it. It's like, we can get that too. I'm like, no, you're a middle lot in between 2 apartments that already exist. And you're not in a corner and nobody owns the ones beside because they're already apartments. I go, it's just not going to happen for you. But because I was the only one that was honest with them, he came back with, my dad really appreciates you. And now he thinks of you as a son and we're only going to work with you and blah, 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 blah. And I'm half price than everybody, right? So you have to have that same energy mentality on your posts. Right? Be honest and truthful. If it's not a good time for somebody, tell them that, right? Like I truly think people that are selling their properties right now and that are going to downsize or cash out of the market, I think they should not sell. And I'll put that right on social media. Like you guys shouldn't do this. I think you should wait 3 to 6 months. You're going to get another, oh, sorry. Going to wrap it up, but we're going to need, whatchamacallit, lost my train of thought. Anyways, we'll open up to quick questions and then we'll get out of here. Does anybody have any questions? You can put your hand up or throw it in the chat there.
Shawn, I have a question.
Mhm.
The Facebook Marketplace, the offers,
Yep.
are they real? Like they're not, they're
No,
not.
no offers. You have to show the property. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm getting some people throwing in, I'll give you this much, I'll give you that much.
Oh, yeah. And
You
it's
get
always like, it's like wildly low, right?
One was low and one was okay, but they just, it's almost like they're just throwing it out there. They're not serious.
Yeah. So for the low ones, I would just throw them a CMA, right? Like you could send it to yourself, get the link and then put it in the chat because they're not going to give you their email. And be like, here's what's selling in the area for this price. If you want something at that price, I'm more than happy to help you. It's just we have to move into a different community. And if somebody gives the right price, then yeah, book a showing and go sell them the property. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, good question.
Quick question. How do you choose the properties to list on Facebook Marketplace? For example, I thought about targeting ones that have 1-day offer date so that the price is attractive. Do you have any kind of maybe the average price that you are targeting, not to go to kind of luxe market?
Yeah. So the thing is you need permission, right, to make these posts.
Mhm.
So instead of scouring the market, looking for all this stuff, I'm just more worried about the volume, right? And then I'm moving on to the next activity. So I would just build relationships with as many people as you can and listings that you guys have. Pick a nice one that shows well, and then just put it up and move on with your day. I wouldn't spend hours doing this, and you're gonna have to if you're looking for something like that.
How
Yeah.
many can we have on our page marketplace at a time?
Oh, tons. You can put up 50 a day if you want to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
No problem. Yeah. So, any other questions you guys want to go over or talk about?
I am a little bit confused about the market blitz, the 15 minutes on social, on the search location and the local business. So local business, and you search the location and you comment everything on every post that comes up on there, right?
Mhm.
And the local businesses, like that will be part of your stories, right?
Yeah, so like a local business, then you go to their followers and you do the same thing in their followers.
So you comment on their personal posts?
Of course. So there's a business page. So like Oakville Dog Mart. So you'll click that and then it'll say following and followers.
Yeah.
You click the followers, it'll give you a list of all the people that are following that page. You click that name, you go to their page and you leave comments on their posts.
Okay. Without asking for friendship or following.
Never.
Okay. Thank you.
Never. Yeah. You want them to follow you first. Because if you start power following people, Instagram's going to think you're a bot and they're going to put you in Instagram jail.
Mhm.
It's not a fun place to be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How many posts should you be making at a minimum per week if you cannot make one post per day?
You should make one post per day.
I see.
I like this is something that I just noticed, like just in general in life and business, is we're too soft on ourselves. Like I don't know when this happened or why it happened, but just be better. Like I just can't stress that enough. Like everybody wants this big business and this stuff, and they're not willing to put in the effort that's required. It's just do it, right? Like if you look at your day, it is impossible to tell me that your day is so packed that you don't have time to make your follow-up calls, you don't have time to make your posts, you don't have time to do your reach out and everything. Like I've never seen somebody that is so busy that they can't just do the work they're supposed to do. Yeah, Atomic Habits is a good one.
So
Like,
Shawn,
yeah.
like in these, you said a thoughtful response on these,
Yeah.
the followers pages, and can you put things like, "Oh, love this, great idea"? Like, is that how short and brief it is? It's just a comment. That's
Absolutely.
a positive comment.
Yeah. Like the food ones are the best. So the foods and the memes are the best. So if it's a food post, be like, oh, wow, that looks so good. Where did you get it? Right? Like that's easy. And then they're going to be like, oh, I got it at such and such. Like, oh, I've been meaning to try that place. Do you have any other good recommendations? Like, look at the friendship you started with the easiest conversation ever. Right? Or anytime that somebody puts up an inspirational quote type meme, what happens is people only post those because it meant so much to them that they wanted the world to see it. And the problem is the world usually does not care at all. They get zero response, the lowest likes, no comments back. But if you comment on that, you go way up high on the like factor, right? So you put like, every moth turns to a butterfly or whatever it might say and be like, oh, wow, that was so transformative. I've had a time like that in my life too. What are you going through? And then you move on from that, right? It's amazing, like the inspirational quotes. And another thing too, which is so important, like those inspirational quotes, lots of times they're actually people reaching out for help. Lots of times. So when they're down in the dumps and they're hurting and they're going through pain, people are putting that out there as like a bat signal for someone to come help them and save them. So if you jump in the DMs and you be a friend to them, and this has nothing to do with business at this point, this supersedes business by an infinite number. Be a friend and be a kind human being and just check in on that person. And sometimes they just need 5-10 minutes of just someone to care about them for a few minutes, right? And again, like that will lead to business, give before you get, but do it with the intention of, hey, let me just be an ear for you because you might need it.
Hey, Shawn, I did pizzas, we had our pizza oven a few years ago during COVID, and I gotta agree with what you said here. I've been a friend of Jen's for many, many, many years, and she's a phenomenal person. Great to meet you today as well. And the pizzas that I used to put out were absolutely amazing, and the following was absolutely insane. So if anybody ever wants to follow, it's Angelo Pucci, a little plug there today. It's to the point that I got my own Pucci Pizza logo, authentically Italian, which is going to come back out again. But it was absolutely insane that a lot of these people, that the food, the catchy, the way they used to come out of the oven, and I used to do a little video as I'm taking them out of the oven, and people, like, their mouth used to be dropping. I mean, all the memes with regards to their tongue hanging out and so forth was just absolutely insane. So perfectly well said. I think that people feel, bring forth to you what you put out there. Certainly the attraction is definitely there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. 100%. Yeah, really, really good. Sorry, one thing, I know we're gonna wrap this up. One thing I want to add is we call them NTAs. So this is no time added prospecting. So what happens is if you're already doing an activity, is there a way for you to add prospecting to it with no time added? So like a really, really good one, like this is one that worked really, really, really well for me. If you're out with the buyer, right? And you do the worst bare minimum possible, which is your showing sheets, and you do a little boomerang and say like 8 showings today, 12 showings today. Yes, at least you put that you're working. Cool, that's your job. I don't think anybody really cares that you're doing your job. But if you're in the house with somebody and you should be teaching you something like about that furnace we talked about earlier or whatever it is, and you teach them something and then they learn it, you'd be like, hey, did you find that interesting and informative? Yes, I did. Okay, perfect. My audience would probably love that too. Let's just for fun, you teach them what I just showed you. And then you turn the camera around on them and you get them to show you what you just taught them. They're going to do it wrong 100%. And they're going to like fumble through it and stutter and whatever. And it's going to be funny and everybody's going to be laughing on camera and it's going to be a great time. And then you flip around and correct it. But then you tag them in that story. This is not a post, it's a story. So you tag them in that story. Well, what are they going to do when you tag them? They're going to reshare it to their page, right? So now you've got their entire following watching you teach them something about real estate while we're having a great time on camera. Is that not an amazing referral without even getting a referral? You're physically showing how you're having a great time on a showing and educating the clients. And then a week later or 3 weeks later or whatever it's going to be, there's going to be the sold post with them on it. And people go, oh, they sold that house. And then there's going to be the key post and all that stuff. Imagine if you did that every time you were on a showing. Your audience would be massive, filled with people who you just worked with, their followers, right? That's one of the ways when I was, again, doing business, every time I was out on a showing, I'm like, how can I, like, teaching people about windows was a big one, right? The little timestamp on the windows, gutters, roofing systems, just anything I could think of, right? Like anything that we came across and was a lesson in the house. I would just be like, hey, my audience would like this too. Can you tell my audience? And then my audience is also seeing that it's a great time buying houses with Shawn. Every time he's up with buyers, they're laughing and they're having fun and they're having a great time and whatever. And then they go to every other realtor's page and what do they see? fucking boring market stats, updates. I lost another bidding war with 50 people in it. This market sucks, blah, blah, blah. And they go over to me and it's just like just a ray of shining light over there, right? Imagine who's going to get the business. So think about anytime you're doing something, if there's an NTA, no time added prospecting. So again, like working an open house, right? A lot of times we're just sitting there scrolling through TikTok or watching Netflix or whatever it is you're doing. Instead of doing that, be like, okay, I'm already sitting here. Could I do a property tour? Sure. Could I make calls? Sure. Could I do a blitz? Sure. Like, is there something that you can do while you're already doing an activity that adds no time, that maximizes the results of your business? So just kind of the last point to leave it on there. Yeah. Do you guys want one more showing tip really quick? And then I'll get kicked off because I know SG's got 6 messages here. I gotta go.
Just one. I only asked once.
Okay. I can go all day. That's the
I
problem.
know you can, and I would love for you to. It's so great.
Okay. I'm glad people say they can listen all day. I feel like I'm like tone deaf. Like because I don't get up or down. So I feel like I'm very boring to listen to as a person, but I'm glad that we're resonating. So that's good. Okay. So first showings. So this is your first time out with a buyer, and it could be somebody that you know or somebody that you don't know. It doesn't matter. So when you guys are doing the show, I don't know if you guys all use showing time, but like when you're making your schedule for the route that you're gonna do, let's say you're gonna do 10 houses in a day. So when you're doing your routes, what do you guys start with? The closest house to you, the closest house to the client, the furthest house, the easiest one for traffic, the most expensive, the cheapest. What do you guys throw it in the chat? What do you start with for the house? And anybody who's heard me say this before, no cheating. We only have one buyer out here, Jake. Vacant, distance, furthest from me. Most of you end up at home. Mary's really selfish with her time. I like it. Cheapest, first, owner occupied, client, furthest. Okay. So for me, I purposely start with the shittiest house. Okay. Especially if I don't know the person. Because what I want to, oh, sorry, I didn't say shit. The worst house is what I want to start with. And sorry, Jen. The reason why I want to start with the worst house is because I want to poop all over it. Right. So what happens is so many people think that we're just trying to ram houses down people's throats, right? All we want is the sale. So if we can get to the first property, you shake your hand. Hey, I'm Shawn. Nice to meet you. Hey, I'm whatever. Okay, great. So they say, great. And then as you're standing outside, before you even get in the house, you can look around the neighborhood and start pointing stuff out, right? So you can look at the shingles and be like, hey, I just want to let you know before we even go inside, see the shingles are starting to curl a little bit on this house. And notice all the shingles are replaced on these other houses over here, nice and brand new. These houses were all built around the same time, within 6 months to 12 months of each other. That's how they're all built. So what happens is all of these roofs are the same age. All of these people already replaced theirs. These people didn't. So we know that this roof has to go in the next 6 months to 2 years at the most. We need to factor that into our purchase price. And this is super key here. Really, really, really key right here. This is not a deal breaker. It just means we need to be aware. And you say that again and again and again, because that house might be the best one. So if you go absolutely omitting it, you just cost yourself a sale and you cost them the house that they wanted, because there is a price for every house, right? So we start at the worst one and you pick out stuff before you even go inside, right? This is no good. That's no good. Look, these windows are replaced. This one's not. This tree has big roots. It's wrecking the pipes underneath, all that kind of stuff. And then when you go inside the house, we always let the customer go first. And as I'm opening actually I don't even open the door, sorry. I unlock the key and then I let them do it because that's them feeling like they're coming home. Then when they're going through the house, I make sure they're first. Sometimes we'll say for safety, I agree with that. That's great. But from a sales perspective, I straight up tell them, I go, listen, I honestly don't care about the house. I don't care if it's pink, blue, polka dots, orange, none of that stuff matters to me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to follow you and I'm going to feel and listen for your energy. So if we go into the kitchen and you're all stoked, I'm going to pay attention to that, and I will make sure we go to more houses with kitchens like that. If you walk into a room and you hate it, I'm going to pay attention to that, and I'm going to make sure I don't send you houses that you hate. So I'm going to streamline the process, so we're only going to houses that you want to see. And while we're doing that, I will be looking for more deficiencies, like what I pointed out outside, so that you don't buy a lemon. And then you let them go, and then that's truly what you do. You just listen and feel for their energy in the house. And if it's high, we push it, and if it's low, we don't, right? So now what happens by the time you get to the third or fourth house and you've had conversations on the economy and you've had conversations on interest rates and you've had conversations on bidding wars, because the whole time when you're going through the buyer process, it has nothing to do with the house. You're not selling that house. They could see it. So you don't have to, oh, the cabinets and the this and the great, who cares? How do I work in the conversation about interest rates? How do I work in the conversation about bidding wars? How do I work in the conversation about migration? That's what you need to be focusing on the buying tour, so that when it comes time to put the offer in, they've got all the information they need. Your trusted education level is high. You say you need to make an offer on this house right now at this price. They're going to listen to you, right? You don't, the house is there. They can see it. You don't have to sell it. Does that make sense? Was that kind of like a little bit eye-opening for people, or everybody already knew all that stuff? Good. Okay, there's a lot of questions for how do you get my content and my sheets. You reach out to Jen Jones or whoever invited you into this call, and you ask how you can be part of our organization and our world. And everything that I do is for free for you inside that through whoever invited you to this call. So that's the best way to get it. And that's it, guys. So yeah, if you want, you can follow me on Instagram. Send me DMs. I'm always happy to help people. And yeah, let's just all have an amazing spring market. Let's just go crush some business.
That was so amazing. Thank you, Shawn.
Thanks so
Okay.
much, Shawn.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day, everyone.
Yes.
Bye.
Thanks, Ron.
Bye.